Welcome to another Lights, Camera, McCarthy holiday special. I'm Steve Shenevy alongside the man himself, the one and only Kevin McCarthy.
Hi, Stephen.
See you, my friend.
Stephen, how are you?
Over the next 30 minutes, my friend and I are going to talk about some of the big movies that are going to be coming out this summer, your summer blockbusters, both in theaters and also streaming. And Kevin's going to share some of his sit-downs with some of the stars as well. Dude. So let's start things off with something that's in theaters now.
First of all, it's awesome to see you.
It's fantastic, as always.
I'm great to be here with you. And we're coming off of a huge weekend for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is the latest Indiana Jones film in the franchise, the final one, I believe. I mean, Harrison Ford is, what, like 80, 81 years old, and he's an incredible actor, but he's been playing this character for so long now, since Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this is an iconic character for him to return to. And in this interview you're going to see him talk a lot about aging and how, as Harrison Ford, he's aged, but also Indiana Jones, the character, has aged as well. And this is now a new part of the franchise directed by a gentleman named James Mangold. So James Mangold directed films like 3:10 to Yuma. He did Logan. He did Ford v Ferrari. The first 4 Indiana Jones films were directed by a little-known filmmaker named Steven Spielberg.
I've heard of the guy.
Yeah, and so Spielberg, the last one he did was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I didn't particularly love as an Indiana Jones film. I love the original trilogy so much, but this new one reminded me of the magic that Spielberg brought to the original trilogy, and it kind of brought me back to that feeling I had as a kid when I was watching Raiders and Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, which is my favorite one with Sean Connery. And now this one, I won't go into any spoilers, but it has a third act and an ending that to me was so special for the character and the arc, no pun intended, about what kind of he went through over these years. And so sitting down with Indiana Jones himself, Mr. Harrison Ford, was an absolute honor. I've been doing interviews for over 15 years, and there's certain ones that really hit you a little differently from an emotional perspective. You think about, I've interviewed Harrison Ford multiple times in my career, but to talk to him specifically for an Indiana Jones film, like I'll interview him for something else, and I'll want to ask him about Indy or ask him about Han Solo.
And this time you finally got your chance.
And now you have the opportunity to just ask him anything you want about Indiana Jones. So here's my one-on-one conversation with the legendary Harrison Ford talking all about the latest Indiana Jones film. Take a look. Kevin McCarthy from Washington, D.C. Well, first of all, congratulations to you.
Well, thank you.
There's a line that I want to bring up to you. It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yes.
And it's a great line from Raiders, and I wondered now, looking back at the scope of your career.
It's a lie.
Yeah, but it is a great line, though. But
it's a good line, but it's a lie.
But what does it mean to you, though?
It is the years. That's one of the things I wanted to bring to the audience, was to see this character at this age.
Yeah.
We've seen him start in his early 40s. And we've carried on with 4 films. Now we get a chance to see him in a condition at a stage of his life that is different to what we've seen in the previous 4 films. I've always felt, as we decided to do another film in the series, that we were obliged to introduce more information about the character, something new about the character, because I wanted I wanted all films that I do to be what we call character-driven, which means that we're not doing something for the sake of itself, but there is a reason for everything that we do in the movie, and it is to tell the story of the character in this space, in this particular space. But the character is really important. The character is what's changed here. The character has suffered the life that he's lived. And we find him, we have a very interesting part at the beginning, when the first 20 minutes of the film or so, I'm 40 years old. But it's a very interesting technology that they've used to create the visual of me being 40 years old. They have been able, because it's Lucasfilm and they have 40 years of film on me, they're able to go through all of that film with artificial intelligence. Oh, we got it there, AI. and pick out just the right light, just the right angle, blah, blah, blah. But it's my face. It's not photoshopped or anything. That's my 40-year-old face.
But a few times in my life, I've seen things I can't explain. And I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe, would you believe it?
When we spoke for 1923, you told me a great story about how you brought your own hat to set and snuck it into the set for Taylor Sheridan, and you were able to actually wear your own hat. Right behind you is obviously one of the most iconic hats in movie history. But I want to talk to you about it from a character perspective, because I find Indy to be really fascinating because his vulnerabilities really shine when he figures out that Marion's still alive, or he goes dad when you're tied to Sean Connery in Last Crusade. But character is a really interesting thing, and I want to know what the hat gave you when you first dealt with it in Raiders and then trying it on again.
Particularity.
Okay.
Particularity. It was a particular hat, combined with a particular jacket, combined with a whip, combined with whatever else there was, to make, to bring together aspects of personality which we can call a character.
Score is one of the greatest themes of all time.
That's the glue that holds everything together, that buoys everything up.
Do you remember the first time you heard it and what it means to you now, all these years later, to hear it again set to your performance?
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I heard it, but I remember every damn time I do hear it. The music follows me everywhere.
Yeah?
Yeah, thanks, John.
Well, it's one of the greatest themes of all time. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I also love you in Age of Adeline. I think it's one of your best films that you've ever made, and I hope you know that.
Sweet, thank you very much.
Congratulations to you. This has been an honor.
Appreciate it.
Kev, here's one of the cool things. You said you got emotional and took you back to being a kid watching all the Raiders movies. This franchise is old enough that, me too, I got to watch him as a kid. But here's the thing, when you talk about that score, the first, I guess you could call it, job I ever had, when we were in high school and we hosted a show on the local radio station, the soundtrack and the theme to our show was the Raiders theme.
It's amazing.
So that's where that takes me, was back to the earliest stage of my career that got me here, through the same thing that got you here through Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And that's the beauty of cinema, the idea of that it's universal, it could be used, and then now you have an emotional memory of what that song means to you outside of the film, which is really special.
Let's move on to another summer blockbuster, and this one features a guy who might still be doing stunts when he's 80 years old if he goes at this pace.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is incredible. I was lucky enough to travel to Rome, which is insane to even say that out loud, for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is the new Mission Impossible film, as you might have guessed, and this is a huge summer blockbuster film opening July 12th. Tom Cruise is returning as Ethan Hunt, and as you know, he does his own stunts, and the stunts are absolutely crazy to watch because they're immersive and they're narratively driven. They're all part of the story. But Tom Cruise and I nerded out at the bottom of the Spanish Steps in Rome, Italy, about one of the most insane stunts in the film, where he rides a motorcycle off a cliff, and the answer alone is even as crazy as the stunt itself. Take a look.
Listen to me. The world's coming after you.
His fate is written. Shall we write yours, too?
If anything happens to them, there's no place that I won't go to kill you. That is written.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks,
by the way.
Kevin.
We got the blue. How are you doing?
We got the Italian blue going. It's nice.
Can I say, look where we are right now?
I know. Please do, because it is magnificent. Look at this.
I want to geek out with you, because when I finally saw the cliff jump, so I've been seeing all the footage, I watched the featurette, and I was blown away by it, but when I was watching it with the narrative aspect of it, my stomach turned. So if you don't mind, can you geek out with me about the setup and the execution of that moment? Because I love when you accelerate. You can hear the accelerating.
It was, listen, there was years of training, actually even before, because I've been skydiving for many years and riding motorcycles since I was a kid, and I wanted to do something like that and have it be part of that story. But yeah, the moment before I took off, it was, I had to go into the bowl. I had to jump out of a helicopter and test the wind. So I had to jump out. When you see, there's a long version of the EPK, and you see me jumping out because I have to test the wind in there and open. It was a little tricky that day, actually, because you could even see when I opened, I turned into the mountain because the air currents are a little off, and if you if you open a parachute at a different angle, it's going to affect it. So there's a lot I was thinking about in terms of performance, the helicopter going across, the drone going across, making sure that I didn't hit the drone didn't hit me, that the helicopter didn't blow me off the ramp, that once I did depart, that I had separation from that motorcycle. And also when you're skydiving or jumping or anything, in any sport, gymnastics, anything, your body's going to go where you're looking. So I had to be very careful when I was departing not to look down at the motorcycle, because I could have gone into a tumble. Because if you look down, you could get into a tumble. If that happened, that would have been very difficult to overcome in the few seconds that I had before impact. So then once I opened, I had to make sure that I didn't have my parachute hit the rock on the side of the bowl, so I had to really pay attention.
I love how Tom Cruise is demonstrating himself rolling with his sunglasses. He was just using his sunglasses to...
I love how you went all the way to Rome to get him to tell you that great story.
Hey, it was totally worth it. Yeah, the movie opens on July 12th, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
He has just done some incredible stunts over the years.
Oh, go back and watch the original Missions films, like Mission 5, 6, 7, 3.
And shout out to all the stuntmen and women that do that stuff for every movie.
Deserves an Oscar category. Yeah.
We're just getting started. Coming up next, Kev's most anticipated movie of the year. You've been talking about this one for about 3 years now. And a pop culture phenomenon, both hitting the big screen on the same day. We're going to have that when we come right back. Welcome back to the Lights, Camera, McCarthy Summer Movie Special, and it would not be a summer movie special without Kevin's most anticipated film of the year. You've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Well, this one is very special to me. So Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan's new movie. So I've been a fan of Christopher Nolan for years, from Memento forward. But I remember seeing The Dark Knight for the first time in 70mm IMAX years ago. I think it was 2008. And I had never seen a film that immersed me in action like that, because he uses actual 65mm IMAX cameras that capture these massive images in the best quality you could ever imagine. So let's take a look at a clip of the trailer for Oppenheimer, and then we'll discuss it on the other side. Take a look.
Is anyone ever going to tell the truth about what's happening here?
You talk about action for the movie that you saw, 70mm. You could have a lot of action in this movie based on the content, but also maybe not. So what was the draw to you for this movie?
So this is Cillian Murphy playing J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb. And it's based on a very phenomenal biography called American Prometheus, which my grandmother and I read together. She's 97, and so she lives in a nursing home down near Williamsburg, Virginia. So she loves reading Pulitzer Prize-winning books. I told her I was reading this, so she's like, I'll read it with you. Let's get on the phone once a week, and we'll go over the topics, because she lived through this time period. This movie has an all-star cast: Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh. It's going to be incredible. It opens July 21st. I'm so happy to see Cillian Murphy in a leading role, and Christopher Nolan, in my opinion, is the best filmmaker working today.
I know you,
and I cannot wait for this.
You love him so much. All right, now, same day, could not be more polar opposites when you go from Oppenheimer in the historical aspect there to Barbie.
Right, and I do want to mention, by the way, Oppenheimer is going to be more of a drama than an action film.
Right.
But they're going to, and he did do the Trinity test with the nuclear bomb explosion practically with no CGI. I don't know how he did it, but no CG. Okay. All right, so Barbie. This is another big movie.
No CGI in Barbie.
Barbie, actually, they did a lot of practical sets. Then they run out of the color pink. We did some stories about that. This is a new film directed by Greta Gerwig.
Some things have been happening that might be related. Cold shower, falling off my roof, and my heels are on the ground.
Flat feet!
What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world.
You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe.
All right, so this is Greta Gerwig, who directed phenomenal films like Lady Bird and Little Women. Now she's back with this incredible story. Margot Robbie's playing the lead character of Barbie, and Ryan Gosling's playing Ken. Huge cast, and the film opens the same day as Oppenheimer, as we mentioned. And the film itself, I will have interviews coming up soon with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and Kate McKinnon and Issa Rae and America Ferrera. So stay tuned for all of that.
Take a peek at Kev's social if you want to see the behind-the-scene pictures. They're amazing. All right, last one real quick. Disney live action. What do we have this time?
This is called The Haunted Mansion. Take a look at this clip.
Wait! I should warn you before you step inside the house. This could change the course of your entire life.
I'm not afraid of a couple ghosts.
You say that now.
So this is based on one of my favorite rides at Disney. Have you ever been on the Haunted Mansion ride? The one in Disneyland's my favorite because they usually theme it out like Nightmare Before Christmas style. Huge cast: Jamie Lee Curtis, Tiffany Haddish, Lakeith Stanfield. Very excited to see this. This movie opens up on July 28th, the weekend after Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Woo, 3 great movies in 2 short weeks. And then it's not summer without a Marvel adventure. But this year it's not in theaters, it is streaming. So coming up next, Kev's going to share his sit-down with Secret Invasion star Samuel L. Jackson. And you guys go back a ways as well.
He's awesome. I gave him a wallet once and he still has it.
We're going to zip our lips on that one. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Lights, Camera, McCarthy Summer Movie Special. Now, Kev, so far you've given us some great options to go see at the theaters.
Yeah.
How about one for at home?
Perfect. So Samuel L. Jackson and Olivia Coleman are starring in the new Marvel series called Secret Invasion, where essentially they're trying to stop the Skrulls from invading the highest spheres of the Marvel universe. And this is Marvel, so everyone loves Marvel, but it's more of a Nick Fury story. And so I spoke to Samuel L. Jackson and Olivia Coleman all about it. You know Olivia Coleman probably most from The Crown, an incredible actress who also an Academy Award winner as well. But here's Samuel L. Jackson and Olivia Coleman for Secret Invasion. Oh, it's so good to see you, Mr. Jackson.
What's up, man? How's everything? And why do we get to talk to you today if you're in D.C.? We're supposed to be talking to people in foreign countries.
It is crayou My name is Kevin McCarthy, and I live in D.C. Mr. Jackson, you were born in D.C. I know you grew up in Tennessee.
Walter Reed.
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking you real fast, what are your memories? I know you grew up in Tennessee, but what does D.C. mean to you that you were born here?
Well, I mean, I was born in Walter Reed, but I still have relatives that live there. And when I was a kid, actually, that story that I'm talking to Talos about, riding the train, we fictionalized it a bit, but it's basically me riding from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Washington, D.C. in the summers to visit my mom, who lived with her sister and her brother-in-law, my cousin, and they lived in Parkland over in 18th Street Southeast.
Olivia, I love how your character is introduced in the show when the screen goes black and we just hear your voice, and we have to kind of judge who she's going to be based on that. But there's a great moment in that scene where, Mr. Jackson, you talk about the clocks on the wall, and you go, do you have a clock fetish? And it made me think about different collections that people have. Like, I collect movie tickets. What would be something that you collect that's like that, like clocks? Like, what do you have in your own place that's a collection similar to that?
You've got lots of things.
Man, action figures. I have my action figures.
So cool. Well, I'm going to start a collection of action figures. If I ever get one for this, it's so exciting. I think I collect maybe... I love, from each film I do, or telething, I like to take a little bit of something for my house. So I do ask.
Steal props.
I don't steal. I always ask.
Yeah.
What's an example of a prop that you have from something?
I've got an old antique chess table from the charity shop in Tyrannosaur, which is a film I did years ago, and in Empire of Light, the kitchen table, which is an old sarin and tulip table, which was going to be thrown away. I said,
you take furniture from the set?
Yeah, I ask.
That's not a bits and piece of collecting. That's furniture.
Oh, also from The Crown, on my first day of The Crown, the props guy, I'm sorry, this is exciting now.
I love that.
There was an envelope on the Queen's desk with my face on the stamp. And he went, go on, put it in your pocket, take that home. And so I've got that framed in my downstairs loo. So little things, or, you know.
Very nice. In downstairs loo.
Yeah. Do you have a downstairs loo?
I do.
Mr. Jackson, I gave you a bad wallet one time. I don't know if you still have that, but I gave you one.
I do. I have it. Yeah, it's in the bookcase.
That's awesome. Last thing I'll ask you is this. I'm a big fan of little character details. And Nick Fury has this line where he talks about my drink of choice is bourbon. And to me, that's a little detail that gives you an eye into who that person is. It's a small thing, but it actually, you think about, oh, who's somebody who drinks bourbon? So for each of you, what is a small detail of a character you've played in any of your movies that's kind of like that is a window into that person that would surprise somebody, like maybe a pair of shoes or an earring or, obviously his eye patch. But there's little things that I think give us a window into who these people are.
Oh, my God. That's something you'd have to spend time thinking about.
That's why we have junkets, so you have, people intrigue you with good questions sometimes.
It's so nice when you get a different question.
Well, thank you.
Most of the characters I play drink tea.
And what does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
It means me as an actor, when they go, do you want a drink on set? I go, yes, can I have tea? So that means all of my characters have a tea fetish.
Because I came from the theater, I have an opportunity when I don't have source material, I can sit at home and I can write a total biography for this character.
Olivia Coleman taking furniture from the sets with permission. She should have taken the crown from the crown, right? That would have been the ultimate movie prop.
Yeah, so Secret Invasion is streaming now on Disney+. New episodes come out weekly, and I love Samuel L. Jackson. I grew up with a Pulp Fiction poster in my room, and the idea that I bought him a Pulp Fiction wallet and he still has it is, I gave it to him in 2014, so that's crazy he still has that. So
it's amazing. Yeah. How many times are you going to see Oppenheimer?
I saw Dunkirk 6 times, Interstellar 6 times, Tenet 4 times, probably 6 or 7.
Christopher Nolan owes you something at this point,
yeah,
right?
I love Christopher Nolan.
Kev, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you,
Steve. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome.
Great summer blockbuster special. Hey, we'll see you at the movies.
Bye, guys.